What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. Full screen, but it's not a sellout. I want you guys to hear this. I know a ton of people aren't a part of the Discord necessarily, or they're not always watching the live streams. A majority of you aren't. But I've come to a realization that within my content, I'm blocking out the new guy. I have this expectation for you to just have knowledge, to know, oh, that's DR4, of course it's expensive, without answering the whys. And I feel like in a timely manner within my content, I can appeal to people's questions rather than having this knowledge expectation of the viewer, yet keep it more towards also still the informed and keep it entertaining for you all. Also, I have noticed the choppy camera that sometimes breaks up my audio been clipping a bit, and as a stream goal a while ago, we did it for new equipment, and the first piece is here, a Sony a7 III. This camera is a beast. A lot of top creators use it. Next, I plan to fix the audio setup, get a new tower, and do a lot for the channel. I want to put back into my channel what I had in my youth, that feeling of just wanting to create, go out and do things and conquer the world. I want to be that person again in terms of also looking out for people that aren't just my own taste. If you don't freshen up a bar, you get a revolving consumer base, which is a good thing, but it becomes unwelcoming to others. I want to be welcoming to the community overall. I want to see and think about what people are, you know, maybe not as privy to. That being said, let's go ahead and get into today's market watch, starting with some fresh OC. Follow me on Twitter if you aren't already at house_of_champs. With this reinvigoration, I'll probably be doing more OC cultured content like this. Now into the Banlist buyouts, the stuff that we missed yesterday and growing stuff from what we covered yesterday. Red Eye's Dark Dragoon is around $70. It had jumped towards $80 at one point. That's why you see a higher market price, but they keep getting listed around 72, 70 in that range. Oh, the engine's not dead. They didn't touch the problem here. It is going to be on a lot of inboards. It's going to be frustrating to deal with, but this card is short printed within the megatins. We didn't get promo, so this is the main different chase besides differing rarities and chase cards from before in the 2020 tins, and now it is really helping them, and the sealed for the tins has been going up gradually as is, and now it is skyrocketing with this ban list. People are throwing a ton of money, so if you are, hopefully you're using that TCG player link in the description down below, costing you nothing extra to support the channel directly for the cards you'd already be buying. When you use that link, it really does help the channel. I don't have to rely on ad revenue as much, and I'd rather be powered by the player than powered by corporations. I'm always going to have my audience's interest first and foremost, though, no matter what's happening. Plant Verde Anaconda isn't really moving much. I would think it would start to move if Dragoon's getting that much traction, because people are going to be wanting to summon Dragoon with the greatest of ease, so you might want to get this sooner than later with how much this is jumping around. Animador Archosaur Dinosaur's getting no hits. Konami apparently hasn't read the miss, and while the deck did fall out of the meta, it's a deck that really at the beginning of metas gains a lot of traction. I would think that most people would have the deck together, but this was an expensive card. It has its reprint clock ticking, and people excited to play again might have sold theirs and actually got it back in this instance rather than it just being hype beasted. Do keep in mind, Eternity Code could be reprinted as soon as Ghost from the Past. Dark Neostorm was printed in Dual Overload, the last March reprint set. This was slated to be a March reprint set, and Dark Neostorm had Savage Strike ahead of it for the Megatins, and there were reprints from both. So Ignition Assault is the first set for the Megatins now, Eternity Code being the second, and Ignition Assault doesn't have a lot of reprints. Konami could be within those 82 reprints that aren't Ghost Rares, looking for some value to shove in. This could have been one of them. And Zector Exabeetle is going crazy thanks to Simo. He posted over on Twitter, oh, look what V-Dub's doing now, making Beatrice with 2 6s so that they can Foolish Burial, guess who's back, Dragon Buster Destruction Sword, and then equipping it, thus locking their opponent out of the extra deck. What a crazy feature that the deck has now. So Beatrice much ran printing in gold series, which is honestly a pretty darn good penny stonk, considering there's still only 2 versions of this, and this is a pretty high MSRP product at $30, right? So you only have 2 versions, both in gold rare. The older, of course, more susceptible to go up, but with Exabeetle jumping so high, being an older card with only 1 printing, it was actually an ultimate rare in the OCG that looks very nice. It has gone a lot easier to skyrocket in price, whereas Beatrice has its newer printing. And of course, I would be thinking about having this card as it peeled off the ban list and hasn't really done much in price immediately, as, you know, the problem card carrier that was equipping everything went. There's still going to be ways to cheese this out. Speaking of V-Dub, Hand Loop is the talk of the season, and the Mega Pack Cloud Castles are gone for Hand Loop. A lot easier to make disappear than the Duelist Alliance. This card has had multiple buyouts before, as has the Hand Loop card Gotham's, and Gotham's, after multiple buyouts, is going to be way harder to replenish on market. That's why it's so much higher in market price than a lot of the things for the Hand Loop version. I don't think it's the most consistent. Whenever I've been playing against it, it feels like when they're going that route, it's more susceptible to hand traps. Bad things are happening to it. But then again, I can't say much more for, you know, the Exabeetle, you know, getting hit by a hand trap or something. I feel like all the new routes aren't as good as what Calamities, of course, was, and they're trying to fill that hole, but VW is still a very good deck without Calamities. Sky Striker's got a ton of attention because right out the gate of the ban list with nothing happening for it, Ray got bought out to $28, slash 20 from that. The Mega Pack version is already back down towards $8, and we don't really see the Battles of Legend moving all that much, but other Sky Striker cards started to move. Rose went up a couple dollars. The Sky Striker Ace token actually, I believe, is around a low of $9 for the near mints, which isn't the most alarming thing. I told you guys to buy this around $5 because the Japanese, their non-holo version of this token is more expensive than our holo version, but it is a pretty good card to have, and it looks nice for a token. And then Ultimate Shizuku, it wasn't hard to make this disappear. There were only a couple of cheaper ones around the $60 mark, and it has gone as well. So some hype into a deck that, for the only reasons I can think of, people come back to this deck at the beginning of the format, but if that's true, they would have that deck together. This isn't one really worth breaking up and selling that much. Rose might be the only card that's more expensive people would be doing that with. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that this is getting any traction or hype right now, but we'll watch and see it in the metagame. Dogmatica wasn't hit at all by the list. Some people were expecting that. Well, I'm over here like Konami has to still sell these cards. Ecclesia Starlight way up in price. Nidir Servant jumping around $20. I think you could get him still around 70 flat, even though there's this new market price. That's because of actual sales. And then Ultra Ecclesia, she's been up there for a bit. Very low on quantities, though. So if you're looking to play this deck, you're going to be paying to play this deck. Freudian slip there a little bit. But yeah, no surprise here. So much so that with 0 hits, this would be one of the most hyped surging decks, especially with Rise of the Duelist being shorted, but do keep in mind that clock towards the Megatons and where ounce reprints could be like Battles of Legend. Pay attention, because attention to those reveals could pay you, especially if you have these cards. Another deck that didn't get hit at all, the Eldritch, Golden Lord, Eldland, all that stuff. Elixir of Black Awakening high up in price here. Only 6 copies left on market, starting at $32, and then Secret Golden Lord has kind of been up. Curse Eldland is a card that constantly seems to be getting bought out. This engine was doing really well before the ban list. There's no reason to believe that it won't be doing well after, with Zulich and the other decks it can mix with, and it does very well with Hauka Fibrax. The Ultimate Rare's up a little in price right now and running out of copies. This is just kind of an interesting deck to take note of, that it has so many pieces that don't have reprints where the Golden Lord did, that the other pieces seem to be going up like this. Firewall Dragon is not off the list yet, but is slated to be off the list with an errata, so get ready for those written translations. But first edition was up more last night. They're already cooling down. The Unlim's almost back towards where they were, and the first editions, honestly, almost back to where they were too, only like $5 up. So I do think there will be demand for these. If it's only printed in Ghost Rare, that's not a mass release of the errata unless Ghost Rares have a pretty good ratio within the booster pack, which the product description says they're going to be very hard to get. The database will update, but right now it looks like you might be going for these versions unless they sneak the alter art into the set Ghost from the past as well. Now, what else is new? New pictures leak of cards / come out from an official source, and prices go brr without any effects. I understand. Yes, the bird is pretty darn hot for being a bird. Calm down, son. It's just a drawing. And the surprising part is actually the game promos. The Chevalier des Fleurs, which almost indefinitely would have reprints for their versions, but people are collecting game promos, and I've always been impressed by this card. Not a plant, but a spellcaster, level 8 dark, that resources your opponent's graveyard whenever normal or special, then does not negate the effects of whatever you're summoning. I do think that this is a very good card. The restriction actually is, it can't attack the opponent directly, and then it's destroyed end of turn. This card, always been a little bit of bonkers. It's still around $27 here after being bought out from the $3 mark penny stock that I've hoarded personally. And then Chevalier de Fleur, this is memorable to me. I played Dandy Plant back in the day during Gravekeeper format. This card is one that I was excited when it came out and played with. You needed a Fleur Synchron specifically, but then, you know, your quick draw can count for other Synchrons and that kind of stuff. Pretty sure that's the wording still. I'd have to go back. But yeah, this is super expensive. Lowest listed is 50 before 90. I think you should try to be cashing in, but I don't know how many people are actually going to go for this amid the ban list hype. Tri-Brigade is also up in price. Some of these reveals are Leerlust, and that's also combined with the ban list not hitting anything. Tri-Brigade, people being excited for other decks being leveled, while this deck with Leerlust in the first place was good, and we're seeing new Leerlust coming. So very low quantities of Fractal out of Phantom Rage, and there's plenty to consider with the Tri-Brigade engine and how good it is. The Simorg Link, a huge penny stonk that I've suggested multiple times. You might want to be looking at that, and if you're not familiar with what it looks like, Simorg, or Seamorg. I love that meme, honestly. So the Simorg Link is an insane enabler out of Dual Overload, and I love how this card works. I would definitely be looking into it, especially if you're playing the Tri-Brigade engine. And finally, the Clear Wing stuff is moving a little bit, but not as much. I might be thinking about Speedroids. This entire Duelist pack is going to be focused on wind monsters, and notice, again here, Konami keeps using the legendary Duelist branding when things head towards the TCG, yet this is a normal Duelist pack in Japan. I wonder what they're going to do to take it to the next level, like another Ghost Rare, or what they're going to do after Ghost from the Past using that gimmick. I wonder how they're going to elevate this to the next level if we're stuck with only 3 archetypes instead of 5, although, dude, yeah, Sherry LeBlanc's cards are freaking nice. That being said, thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed. I love growing the channel, and I will be working a lot more to bring you quality and different content besides market, even though that's what a lot of you guys are here for. I want to grow the amount of people kind of checking in with Market Watch along with other series and working with other creators like I used to and putting a lot more passion into this. Thank you so much for being here through all of it.